Greetings. This is my surprise of the day for your Sunday. It's me, Patricia Cori, and I have just watched, unfortunately, a pirated version of The Sound of Freedom. And as you know, I've been saying to you all that I wasn't prepared to comment until I had seen that. So I have, and nor was I interested in the onslaught of opinions by people that hadn't seen it, and for good reason. And here we go. So I just stopped seeing it. I'm going to have to, if anybody knows the pay it forward page so that I can pay for what I viewed because it was pirated. Um, just please let me know, because of course I want to pay and contribute. I was very moved, even though I was watching a pirated version, which of course didn't give me the full impact of the absolute beauty of the actual filming of the film. I'm still in a state of emotion. I was moved by so many things. I was grateful that we didn't have to watch a lot of torture and abuse. I think that was handled very well. I found it interesting that some people said they didn't really show the real how bad the problem is, and I was like, well, thank you God for that, because I personally can't bear to see torture and abuse, and we've got enough of that coming out of Hollywood. Funny how it's okay if Hollywood shows it, but if we see a film like this show and then people get in a kerfuffle. So, it was either, for some people it was too abusive, for others it wasn't abusive enough, it wasn't real enough. And of course it's a real story, so to say that it's not real enough is absolutely an oxymoron. But I want to start by saying this. First of all, is there anyone there? No comments from the audience. Let's see if there's anyone watching. There are viewers. Okay. Hi, viewers. Hi, Kirsty. I want to say that I'm dumbfounded. I'm going to go out on a ledge here. I am dumbfounded that people who are truthers and spiritualists and the groups could come out so vehemently, some of them, so vehemently against the film, so determined to classify it as a psyop for the Clintons. Where they got the Clinton connection, I do not know. But I mean, we know that there is a Clinton connection to that, but it was certainly not in the film. So other people said this, I've had people say the scene with the little boy at the beginning was a little contrived. And I was like, no, actually it wasn't, because it was a true story. It's not contrived. It's a true story. So I was very grateful that I didn't have to be subjected to horrific scenes of violence against the children. And I thought it was handled tastefully and still gave, the terror of it without, they managed to allow, okay, Jenny, please hold off and let me speak, okay? They managed to allow the humanity to come throughout the film. So as for Tim Ballard's background, that Jenny said he worked under Clinton's administration, that doesn't mean he was working for the Clintons or that he was involved in their dirty ops. And I can't believe that people with a soul and a heart can't see the humanity in this film. It just blows me away that they can't cheer on the heroic aspects of Tim Ballard and what he has accomplished in his life and what he's doing here. Another thing that I find very interesting is, because something that disturbed me was when people were saying, oh, they're definitely pushing the GPS code inserted in the children. They said that they promote some people have told me they're promoting tracking internally. No, actually, that's not true at all. In the scene where the agent is sending the two heroes, Pablo and Timotei, off into the no man's land of hell on earth, he says, he gives them the medication as they're pretending to be doctors, and then he gives them two vials, and he says, you can always inject yourselves with this or put it in your wallet. And I think it's Pablo who says, with disdain, why? So you can track our dead bodies? There was no promoting the idea that a good thing to do would be to track children. That is a fallacy. It's not there. It's clutching at straws if you think that that's what was being said by that action. His response, Pablo's response, when he says, so, oh, why? So you can track our dead bodies, was a pushing it away, not welcoming it, not saying, wow, we could use this for the children. And so that was one reason why I was put off on the film, by comments that I'd heard from people that they're promoting the tracking system in children. That is not the case. That is a misrepresentation of what was shown. And I feel pretty vehement about that. Whether or not Tim Ballard worked under the Clinton administration, I really believe that people could have worked under certain administrations, including Mr. Trump, by the way, and not have been aware of what was going on many other levels. Tim Ballard appears to have been earnest in his work. I don't see the symbols. I don't see the allusion to anything that would speak to this film like CNN and other mainstream media wants us to believe, that this is a film that is promoting trafficking. For God's sakes, how anybody could get that out of this, it befuddles me. So you've got this, immediate knee-jerk reaction, pushed by media, pushed by Hollywood elites. Gee, I wonder who some of the customers are for these children. Who are the people that wouldn't want this movie to get out? Gee, interesting. A lot of them are the ones that are poo-pooing the movie. How does that work? But I, for one, now that I've seen it, can only say I was deeply moved, to the point of tears, like most people. And I thought that the representation, like the little girl at the end, this was not a Hollywood happy-go-lucky ending, even though I should not give it away in case some of you don't want to know the ending. But there was depth. The characters had depth, and I was left with a feeling of, okay, this is a drop in the bucket, but if somebody doesn't, if each of us don't do something, then raising our hands and saying, oh, it's too violent, oh, it's too depressing, oh, it's too dark, only adds to the facility that these evil people, sick people, have to continue this horrific plague on humanity. And let us not forget, which really wasn't emphasized so much in the film, that the bad guys, the traffickers, the ultra bad, the sick bastards that hurt the children, are bad. But what about the millions upon millions of people posing as good old folks, married with children, Hollywood personalities, government people, priests? How about the people that are the Johns that are going to these places to abuse the children? Do they get to just walk away and say, oh, well, I know it's intergenerational attraction? If they don't exist, the traffic doesn't exist. So we have such a multi-tiered issue here, problem here. And all I can say, well, I can talk all day on it, but what I want to say is Thank God that Tim Ballard and his production people had the balls. Yes, folks, you heard the word balls to make this film. Thank Jim uh, Caviezel. He does have a Christ-like presence on the screen. I'm not surprised he played the Christ, and I'm not surprised that Tim Ballard said he was the only one who could play this. He has um, so much light in those eyes. If people say he's just acting, he's really a bad guy. I'm like, well, whatever. Have enough of a heart to examine really deeply. Watch out for falling for the oh but syndrome, and use your guts and your heart to look deep into the story, deep into the creation of this art, and be wary of just because somebody starts talking conspiracy theories and symbols and hidden codes. People love to dive into that. And here's what we know. We know that Tim Ballard worked for Clinton administration. We know that he was in the Homeland Security. Was that the branch? Homeland Security. And was working on child trafficking. We know that. That's on record. I don't know what to say about Jim Caviezel. All I know is that he did a wonderful job, wonderful, extraordinary portrayal of this heroic being. One thing that bothers me that I haven't come to terms with yet is that it was funded either completely or partially by Carlos Slim, who is a pretty bad guy. But as I am in the arduous process of trying to get a film made, the question of who finances it, sometimes you really don't know who's behind the behind. So I've told my producer, I said, make sure when we find the money that there's nothing to worry about with the money. And he smiled at me like, okay. In other words, you're going to turn down $10 million because there might be some dark information attached to it. And I, Patricia Cori, am saying, yeah, you're damn straight you turn it down. But a producer is trying to amass enough money to make the film. So it's not an easy thing to identify. And I don't have an answer about that yet. So I have to dig deeper about that. But I don't like the fact that this man financed any or all of the film. But for the rest, you guys, wow. I'm so glad this film was made. I noticed that since it's out, a lot more information is coming out about trafficking. A lot of people are coming out, not even in the stream of truther sources, but other people. They're talking about themselves, their children, whatever. People are being activated here. And that's a good thing. I'm not going to allow into my consciousness people that are going to continue to bash the film. I'm actually going to block it. If you don't have anything good to say about the film, you probably shouldn't post on my page, because I don't want to hear it from the point of view that I just want to revel in the fact, or at least in my experience, that a man like Tim Ballard had the courage to do what he did, and even more courage to bring it out in film. It went through inevitably so much blockage before the film was able to get out. And I think that it's a masterpiece. So nobody's commenting. Are you all listening attentively? I will do research about that Slim thing. I want to know more about that. But that bit about the needle, I am so sorry for anybody who's buying into that. And there's such an outcry about the movie being about, really, and people are actually saying this, the the movie is about grooming children to take the needle. It's like, that's ridiculous. That is a planted idea that is not represented in the film. Like I said, when this agent, they're going off on this little boat into the hell of um, the scourge of the earth, where no one can go, and they're going to risk their lives to go. And he says, "Here," at the last minute, he says, "Here, you can always inject this." And the answer is not, "Oh, great, thank God for it. I'm so glad for that. You'll be able to know where we are." The answer is, "So you can track our dead bodies." That is a sarcastic, pretty much denial, refusal, not endorsement. So please spread the word on that. And if you haven't seen the movie, don't buy into the idea that's being peddled out there that this is all about getting children uh, injected. It is absolutely wrong. I can say that unequivocally. Wrong. That is not the meaning of that particular piece. Let's see. Jenny says, "Got to say that all the interviews with Tim and Jim are broaching even deeper truths on the topic. So even if it's not covered in the film, it is being discussed and exposed." Yes, it is. And more people with their own personal experience, they're being emboldened by the fact that this film came out, and more people are divulging more information. So instead of having this constant, this undercurrent of the tunnels and um, the stream of truther information that you know never gets verified. We always hear about the tunnels being cleared out, but we never get any verification of that. But this film is waking up a lot of people. And let's talk about the fact that if parents weren't careful before, by God, they surely will be now. In the world we live in today, you are not free to let your kids out free. They're not safe. They're being, I mean, I'm not trying to create panic here, but when you see footage of a mother paying at the cash register and somebody coming in and swiping her kid behind her, you realize we are in a, Max, Crazy Max, what was the name of that movie? Mad Max, in a Mad Max world. So there are many prongs to this thing and why it's a good thing. I've discussed a couple of them. And that fact, the fact that more parents are going to be much more discerning about where their children are. I mean, imagine dropping your child off to an audition. It's like you've got to vet people a million times, even in their vetted. How many people have found out because they attach cameras to their kids that they're being abused in nursery school by the so-called teacher? It's hard to believe that the human race is, parts of the human race have devolved to such an extent that this is rampant. But it has, they have, it is. And whatever can be done to expose it, one, to help stop it, of course, and the other, to scare the youth, again, the runners, the bad guys that are snatching the children is one thing. The more of them you catch, the more of them will proliferate because it's all about the money. And that's my point. The point is, as long as there are people watching child porn and having desires and for sex with children, it will continue. So more people need to spread the word about what's really happening. And hopefully more of these people will either stop because too much isn't coming out. They're not as free as they thought they were. Or I don't know. I want to say, Tomek, um, if you don't want to see it, that's your business. You know, it's understandable. But I do want to say that at no point in the film did I feel revulsion, because I don't want to see that. I just can't bear it. It's like I can't bear to see anybody hurt an animal. But they handled it with delicacy. It it wasn't a Hollywood situation where you're seeing, these children being abused. It was much more about finding them, getting them, going in and saving them. That was the overriding energy of the film. It wasn't showing the abuse. But yeah, if you don't want to watch it, of course, nobody's telling you to watch it. But I do want to say I'm very glad I watched it. I'm glad I held off my opinion and asked everybody else to until they'd seen it. And I guess I'm making an appeal to everyone to not buy into the naysayer, oh, this is totally it's not what it seems, yada, 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 yada. It's empowering Clinton. No, it's really, I so don't think so. And as for uh, um, Tim Ballard working for the administration, that doesn't mean he was trafficking children for the Clintons. So let's try to catch our breath for a minute, okay? Um, anyway, I wanted to come to you because I've just seen it, and there were a lot of moments when I was going, yes, 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 celebrating the heroic human, celebrating hope, celebrating um, the success of the mission. And again, even the ultra bad guys, there was really not violence in this, hardly any violence in the film. It wasn't on that level. It was handled by people who were trying to bring a higher message through. And they did it with absolute aplomb and grace. And I salute them. So if you see it or you don't see it, my appeal to you is don't let yourself be sold immediately on the undercurrent that um, he was working for the Clintons, and he gave like, for example, so one of the buzzes is that Caviezel is seen with his one eye cross picture. Well, photo. This was a young actor in Hollywood, and he probably had a portfolio made, and they said, do this, do this, do this, do this. You can't take things on the surface all the time. Just like I think I told you guys, yeah, I did. I said, I've been told that I'm an Illuminati because my hair falls in my eyes. And so she's got one eye covered. Oh, it's like, for God's sakes, if ever there was a person who exudes light, it's Tim Caviezel. Love him. I hope that I will have the honor of meeting him or speaking to him sometime soon. But thank you. Thank you, team, who had the courage and the vision and the commitment, the determination to destroy your careers, most likely, to put yourself in harm's way, unquestionably, because the danger that the character was in is the danger that the human is in by exposing this. And I celebrate that. Kudos to them. And I promise you, Tomek, if you watch this movie, you're not going to be overwhelmed by the horror. I mean, yes, you see pictures of them rounding up the children, but you never see any abuse of children. I don't think that these people would have wanted to do that. And they didn't need to do it to push through the story of how this works, how they operate, and then this man's mission to go into the bowels of the earth to save them. It's very uplifting. It's hard. It's painful. I cried. Um, I cried. And then I also cried joyful tears. Trying not to sound corny here, but the victory of goodness over evil. That's something that I search for every day. And this film portrayed that in a beautiful, understated, no Hollywood glitz, real humanity pouring through. That's what I saw. And I'm so grateful that I saw it. So, sorry. We need more of this, and you watch the crapola coming out of Hollywood, the woke garbage, the failing movies, this poorly written, I shouldn't be saying this because it'll get a blacklist as a writer, but we have nothing coming from them that's worth watching. It's just horrible. And that's why all these movies are losing $200-300 million. And here comes this little film. I've heard that it was 5 million to make it, and I heard it was 14 million, whatever. It's up to 56 million now. So, people are saying, the naysayers are saying, it's another moneymaker for the dark side. Yeah, I don't think so. Naysayers. Thank God this is a success, because they're going to go on and do more. Mel Gibson's doing that 4-part piece on Haiti and the trafficking there. And no, Lisa, I'm sorry. You haven't seen it, so you can't make that comment. So Lisa says, although I haven't seen it, I do believe the purpose is pushing the microchip for the children. Not if you see it. If you see it, you possibly have that interpretation. So I don't want to see the flyer that you're going to send me because I'm not interested. I have my own impression. And that's what matters to me, is my own impression. And that's what I've been calling out to everyone. If you're naysaying the film without seeing it, you're not expressing your own impression. Therefore, you're repeating somebody else's information. And therefore, I'm not interested in it. Tomek says, I was sexually abused when I was a kid. Tomek, as a healer, when I had Lightworks, I was doing some pretty intense healing. And I found out that between 60 and 70 people that I worked with had all been abused, sexually abused as children. Even a story I never have told publicly. The gardener was touchy-feely when my parents weren't around. My father was suggestive, like, oh, you've got titties now. And my mother had the kitchen redone. I think I was 12 years old. She had a kitchen redone. And one day when she was still at work and my father was, nobody's home except me and my little brother. One of the men that worked on the kitchen appears at the door. I was 12. And he goes, hi, is your mommy home? And child said, no, she's not home, she's at work. Oh, how about your daddy? He's at work too. Oh, well, do you mind if I come in? I just want to double check something in the kitchen. And I mean, if I had the education then that I had after watching the movie, I would have said, no, you can't come in, or I wouldn't have even opened the door. And so I think that's important for people to take away from this. But I let him in. Fortunately, my mother, who was very psychically attuned to me, she called in that moment. And she said, what are you doing, honey? And I said, Mr. Smith is here. He's fixing the kitchen. She said, what's he doing there? And then I got scared. And I said, he wants to check the kitchen. And she said, all right, I'll call you right back. She called my neighbor next door, who was like an 18-year-old kid. Fortunately, he was home. And she said, please get your ass over to the house. And don't leave until that man leaves. And this guy's saying, well, do you want to play some games with me and we'll wait for your mommy? That man was there to rape me, right? So, but fortunately, the neighbor came over and he sat there until the guy left. So, I can't understand the sickness. I'll never understand it, but it's rampant and it's history. but now it is full-blown war on the children. I mean, we've had this throughout history, but not like this. With the advent of the computer, it's full-blown war. So if people are making an effort to educate people, like I said earlier, some people said it was a fine for lightweights or for people that don't know what's going on. Great. That would probably be about 7.8 million people. So yeah, that's great. If we want to call them lightweights, if they're not aware of tunnels and dumbs and all this horrific reality, fine. Let's reach them, huh? Let's hopefully reach them so that they protect their babies. The ones that aren't selling their children, of course. Anyway, I wanted to share with you my impression, and I want to repeat about the microchip, the scene with the microchip. The guy he pushes it away. So, right. So you can, I mean, that is condescending. It's not embracing. He's not saying, oh, thank God. Yeah, sure. And injecting him. If he had taken the needle and injected himself and said, track me, then I could possibly go with this theory that was about microchipping children. But no, when he said, yeah, right, so you could track our dead bodies, it was like, we don't need your stupid needle. I don't know why people are believing that line, but of course, if they haven't seen it, they don't get it. So I'm sorry, by the way, Tomek, that you had that abuse. You know, like I said, it is so rampant when you're in a position as a healer and you see it. It's because, you know, I was doing psychic healing and I was able to see. One time I saw my client was on the bed. She was going through the memory of it, and I'm watching psychically, and I'm seeing her father raping her and her mother watching. Anyway, oh, please, God, shine your light upon this planet. Please, please, please. We need light and love and hope. See this movie. Take care, people. Love you. Be strong. Be open. Be malleable. Don't lock your mind up in a belief system, especially if someone else told you what it is. Explore it yourself. The only way you can get to anything resembling truth is if you explore it yourself. Explore the movie, explore whatever the thing is that needs exploring. I'm going to go explore the Carlos Slim connection. I want to know what that's about. But it won't take away, even if he is involved in the financing, it will not take away from me the impact and the beauty and the heroism and the hope that I come away from this movie with. And, you know, we can all use a little hope now, can't we? Love you. Take care.